everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to our special event, How to Interview Like a Champ.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun.
If I run up the stairs like Rocky Balboa, just,
You've done it.
Woo!
Yes, that's how you win. So, it's, we do have a special guest.
Hello. I'm special here in the guest seat.
Yes. So I will also introduce myself. Hi, my name is Liesl, and I am the programming coordinator here at the Roanoke Library. And I worked in my undergrad. I worked in a career services office, and I helped students with their resumes, write resumes and cover letters, and they also had me come out for mock interviews. So some of you might be familiar with that phrase, mock interview, because we do have a little program here at the library for teens where you can come in and interview for an upcoming position that you will actually be interviewing for, but you'll interview with me, and we can give it a test run and see how it goes. So, but that's where I'm coming from with all this. So I have a little bit of experience with helping students write their resumes and interview and all that kind of stuff. So I figured, why not put that to use here?
Let's do it.
For the teens, yeah. So this little presentation is going to be about the interview process, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a special little ending to the program as well. Where we will show
Where the special guest does special stuff?
Yeah, we will show you what not to do in an interview.
No, this is totally what you should do. Absolutely.
No, it is not. But anyway, so if we want to dive on in
Let's go.
to our presentation.
Let us do
Yes,
so.
our very professional presentation. So, yeah. Ta-da!
Woo!
The interview process!
Technology!
Yes, very exciting. We're very excited because technology. World. Anyway, so the interview process. Okay, so first question, which I think is very relevant, are interviews terrifying?
I mean, yes.
No.
Yes, they are.
No. They're just fine. No, in all honesty, like it says on the slide, anxiety is real. And it's okay to feel anxious. It's actually normal. Yes, yeah, it is normal to be nervous before an interview. That said, it doesn't have to be terrifying. Yes, and how, pray tell, is this possible?
It's not?
Well, let us tell you, Ross. Let us tell you how it's possible.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So you can prepare for the interview. You can look up questions. You can do a mock interview with me at the library. You can, like it says on the slide here, one of the most important things to remember is that the interview does go both ways. So you are being interviewed by the company, but you are also interviewing the company to see if that's where you want to work. So it's always a good thing to remember in the back of your head that, you want to make sure that this is going to be a place where you're comfortable, because you won't be able to work effectively if you are in an environment that you feel unsafe in, that you feel uncomfortable in, for any variety of reasons. So that's always a really good thing to remember as well when you go into an interview process.
Yes.
And it kind of takes some of the pressure off.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit,
It helps when you flip the tables and then ask
Exactly.
questions yourself.
Yes, and we will get to the asking questions part.
Don't literally flip a table, though.
No, that's
That's bad.
Yeah. We are not giving that as advice.
No, don't do that.
No, please don't do that. So let's see here. Oh, I did also say on this slide that it is important to know that you are going to be put on the spot in an interview. That is just a part of it. They want to see, how you react to certain questions, how you feel about certain things, and believe it or not, honesty is a really good way to deal with those kind of situations. If you need a minute to think about a question, you can say, I need a minute to think about this question, and then think about the question and then answer. So yeah, lots of fun ideas. So let's check out this next slide. So how do I prepare?
Make up stuff.
Yes. Yes, just make up a fanciful tale and go in there and with your novel in hand.
Yep.
And this is a different kind of job interview.
I am in fact a werewolf, so once a month I'm going to need 3 days off.
Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, I guess that would fall under the previous commitments that I have written on this page.
I don't know if being a werewolf is a commitment, but...
I mean, it's not a choice,
That's
I suppose.
true. I guess you're
I
right.
mean, it is a commitment. You don't really...
I guess that, yeah, for a different way of thinking about it, yes.
So I don't know. But things to think about on this slide, there's a lot of comparing what can I do with what do I want to do. So that's another important thing to remember in an interview is that this is a job. We all have to work sometimes when we don't want to work. If you're applying for an entry-level position, that sometimes can mean that you're going to be lower on the bar of who gets to take vacation time, who gets to do what, all these different kinds of things. So that can always play a part in your interview process and knowing that before you go into the job. And so knowing when you can start working. So you can think about it as the two different options. When do you want to start working and when can you start working? So that's like, say I had a concert that I had tickets to and I would like to start working after I attend to this concert because I would, prefer to not have to be at work all day and then get ready to go to the concert.
Or possibly miss it, if they schedule me at night.
Exactly. So that would be, you would want to say that, but can you work that day? There's certain things that's a conversation that you can have when you actually accept the position and move forward with that. So what days can you work versus what days do you want to work? So that's if you wanted to work on just weekdays or just weekends, there's things you can kind of go into an interview knowing that. Again, in an interview for an entry-level position, you might not have as much say in those things. So you might be expected to work evenings or on the weekend because you're going to be newer to the job. And so especially in jobs where there is a little bit more turnover, like in the retail industry or in restaurants.
Food service.
Yeah,
customer,
food service.
Anything customer related, really.
Yeah, absolutely. You can actually make your way up that food chain pretty quickly to where, you are able to make some more of those decisions. But when you go into the interview, you kind of have to be flexible and willing to work with, whatever days they need you. But it can always be a conversation. And so same thing with what hours can I work? What hours do I want to work? If you want to work in the morning or in the evening, same type of deal. So then, another thing to think about is, do I have vacation that is already planned? That's the key sentence. Is it's already planned. You don't want to let your supervisor know about something that might happen in the interview. It's something that is already scheduled. Say your family goes on vacation the same week every year. You can let them know that in the interview that you would need these days off. And that can be helpful for them too, to say, oh, okay, and then you can take the job with the idea that you'll be able to still go on that vacation. And it's good to know that ahead of time.
Especially if it's like you've already paid for it or made reservations or something like that.
Right,
That tends to be more smiled upon than say, yeah, I was thinking about going out of town that weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, something that's already planned, already booked, paid for, all that. And then previous commitments are another thing to think about. That could be something like recurring volunteering. If you know, consistently go and volunteer somewhere, that could be something that you might have to work around. There's also perhaps someone would be at the involved with the Teen Library Council at a local library. And now for a word from our sponsors.
Yes, join the Teen Library Council at this local library. If you're interested, we are recruiting members. We'll actually have a link in the description for you if you would like to check that out.
Yes.
Because we're always looking for folks to give us ideas and to help us out when it comes to library stuff.
Yeah.
You know, all that fun stuff. We have a good time, and we also do some cool stuff.
Yeah, get to help the community, get to learn a little bit about how the library works. You can help us edit fun videos like this one, all sorts of cool things. So definitely check out the website for that. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming. So I think they get the general idea probably at this point. So it's just kind of think through all the things that might interfere with you being at work.
In practice, sports,
Right.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And that is, you mentioned about like something that you've already paid for. The concert earlier, if you paid a lot of money for that concert, that could be something that could be considered a previous commitment if it's something where, your parents got you tickets, very expensive tickets for this concert.
Like for your birthday or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, there are different things that you can have a conversation with the person that's interviewing you. It's good to just have that conversation for sure. So, let's see. So, how else do I prepare?
Okay, well, we've talked about what we've already got going on. So what about I prepare by dressing sharp?
I mean, yes.
Can I put my fingers down?
Yes, you can.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you want to look nice for your interview. That is a good thing to talk about too. And like to make sure that you have like some nice. It's always, I'm gonna sound like an old person, but some slacks. If you have some slacks and a button down.
God. I mean, you're right. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure for most things you could get away with like some khakis and a button-down shirt
It
or
doesn't
something
need
like
to
that.
necessarily be your Sunday best. You just want to dress nice.
Yeah, no jeans with rips in them or anything like that. So, yeah.
Let's put it this way. You'll know if you can get away with that before you go into the interview.
True.
It's going to be a very rare place, though, where that's
Yes.
okay.
And if there's ever any questions about that, you can always write to the library and we can answer that for you. Or during the mock interview, if you were going to do that, we can talk about that as well. I will say that when I was younger, I did a lot of my shopping for professional clothing at thrift stores. And you can actually find quite a bit of clothing, and it's much less expensive than in a store, and it's still very good quality. And then you're all set up for success. So yeah, little pro tip.
Success.
Yes. So back to our slide here. Google is your best friend.
But I thought Liesl was my best friend.
Oh. Yes. She is.
Okay.
But
well.
also, yes, but Google also is really, really helpful for this. Basically, you can search whatever the industry is that you're applying for with interview questions. So, for example, fast food interview questions. And then it'll give you lists of questions that they might ask you during those kind of interviews. I also listed an example of college scholarship interview questions. So, and you can really look for that, retail interview questions. Whatever you're applying for, you can Google that and kind of get at least a little bit of a preparation. You can test out some of the questions and start thinking through some answers, and it'll be very, very helpful. So, you can also, did I already talk about this? Oh, I don't know. I'm skipping around here. But anyway, so transferable skills is the next slide. And that is a really good one because there are a lot of questions that you're going to be asked when, especially if it's your first interview or something like that, you might not have a ton of experiences to draw from. So what you can use though is things like, so this explains what transferable skills are. So they are skills that can be used in multiple career fields. So, and of course, as you work and go to school and all those kind of things, this list of skills will grow, and they can consist of soft or hard skills.
Yeah, I mean, just because, you haven't done a job before doesn't mean that you don't know things. I mean,
Exactly.
you've still done stuff, up to this point.
Yeah. So, and soft skills are more like, personal attributes, those kind of things. And then hard skills are more like learned abilities. So that's like learning Excel. If you are familiar with Microsoft Excel, that would be a hard skill. And if you are organized and friendly, those would be
generally soft skills.
Yeah. So let's take a further look into that. So soft skills, I just listed out a few of them: listening, understanding and carrying out written instructions, organization, written and oral communication, punctuality. Can you think of any more?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I mean,
another thing that you can Google if you wanted to do more research into soft or hard skills. So you can just type in, examples of hard skills, soft skills for interviewing. So we'll go to the next slide here. Hard skills: management, clerical, research and planning, computer technical skills. So examples: tell me something that you learned in one area of your life and were able to apply to another. Yes.
Wait, you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you wanted them to do that.
I do. You're gonna do it first, though.
Ah, jeez. Put me on the spot. All right, fine. I think I did learn a lot about organizational skills from marching band because
Nice.
you have to be able to follow a very specific set of instructions.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
I'd say that's definitely at least a soft skill that can transfer over from one thing to another.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, just as an example.
And I think too, if you have a very busy schedule, if you're going from one activity to the next, if you do a lot of different stuff, time management is something that you can talk about in your interview. Maybe you have, experience with computers. Maybe you're on the computer all the time, and you're real savvy when it comes to Windows. That could be something that
that's
you
a
can
good
throw
skill
on
to
there,
have.
and that would be more of a hard skill. So lots of different things that you can think about in your life. If you do have volunteer opportunities that you can pull from, if you join TLC or something like that.
Plug.
I know,
Plug.
right? Shameless. We're shameless.
Cannot be shamed.
I know.
Cannot.
So, just a couple examples of the top 10 questions that you'll see in a lot of different interviews. So, one of the, you'll probably hear a lot about this question: tell me a little about yourself. Yes. And so, really, with this question, we'll go through these and then we'll do our little fake interview.
Yes.
I mean, our real interview.
Our for
Yes,
real,
our
real
for real,
interview,
super real, big deal interview.
where Ross is not going to get a job. I mean, what?
Can already tell you he's not. Anyways, so
That's fair.
Absolutely
fair.
This is planned. I'm not just being a jerk. I promise.
I mean, I know you're not, but it's still fair.
He would totally get the job if we weren't pretending. If we were being
okay. Sure.
This is really going off the tracks. Okay, back to this question. This question, tell me a little about yourself. They're not asking what your favorite color is. You can tell them that if you want to be cheeky, but I would advise making it more so about your career goals. So even if you don't necessarily have work experience, you can still kind of say what your ideas are, what you want to gain from the job. If it's a customer service job, you can say that you'd like to learn how to talk to people more easily, all these kind of different things.
Or you're looking for, just like a great high intensity environment or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of different things that can go into that question, but you really want to focus on your career. And if you have something, with your school too, you can talk about, what your favorite classes are, things like that. But you really want to stick to things that pertain to the job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, what are your greatest strengths or weaknesses? This question really frustrates a lot of people. And it can be very concerning, to be like, what are your greatest weaknesses? So
my weak point is my Achilles heel, actually.
Yes, exactly.
That's the only place I'm not immortal. So
Yes, I didn't know.
Hey.
Now I know.
Oh no, I'm gonna get shot with a bow.
in the Achilles.
No.
Anyways, so these questions are sometimes asked as separate questions. Sometimes they are asked in the same question. It's important to recognize that they are actually the same question. It's asking what kinds of things you struggle with and how you deal with those things. So for me personally, something that I often share is that I like to take on a lot of different things in my job, which Ross can attest to.
It's true.
And so one of the ways that I deal with that, though, is that I really like making lists. And I like keeping track of things that way. And so that has really helped me. It was something I learned when I was in college and I was taking a bunch of different classes and keeping a planner and all those different kinds of things. So it's not necessarily asking you, what you think you're bad at or what you think could improve.
Like when you cry at movies or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Because what they really want to know is, can you adjust to different things?
Exactly. Yep, that adjustment is really, for sure, that's a great word.
Yeah. So, because, otherwise, basically, they know that you're human. I mean, anybody that you're going to go in an interview with knows that you're not perfect. Like, that's not what they're looking for.
And everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, so that's really not what they're looking for. They are wanting to hear about something that you've overcome.
They just want to know, can you learn from things and adjust and make things better?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you for that input.
Of course.
That's perfect. All right. And then, why do you want this job? Pretty straightforward. But again, you'll want to relate it to your career.
Again, they know you're coming in for the money. I mean, they're aware of that.
Right, exactly. But you don't necessarily want to say that. You can.
We're not just doing it for the money.
Right. Yeah. You wanna make it something bigger than that, and it is, because you are going to gain a lot more from a job than just the financial benefit. There are, just the personal development is a really important factor for any job that you're going to take.
If nothing else, having different experiences is something that you can draw on later in life. Even if maybe the hard skills won't transfer over, you will learn a lot of additional things that may make other future career possibilities a lot easier.
True.
So.
And that's, speaking as someone who has gone through a career change, I was a business major in college with a concentration in marketing. And I used that in a lot of my other jobs. When I switched over to wanting to work in a library, there was, I was able to still use my Microsoft skills, Microsoft Office skills. There were, marketing things. I was able to bring that in and to kind of like look at it a little differently. But there are a lot of different things. Like, you also worked in the corporate world before coming to a library.
I did. I was working for a mortgage company for a while. So,
Right. So even in those circumstances, there are a lot of things that you can kind of bring to the table from your other experiences.
Yeah, maybe I don't need to, call customers anymore, but database management is something at a library that you definitely need to know.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's valuable, whatever the experience is, you'll be able to use it down the road. Yeah, for sure. So tell me about a challenge or conflict you've overcome. This is very similar to the what are your weaknesses question. So they want to know, as Ross said, can you adjust? What are the things that you have had to kind of go through and figure out how to deal with and learn from in the past, and how did you manage that? And I put in here, you can use things from a volunteer opportunity or an organization. You can also use things from school. If you had, a struggle with a teacher or something like that, you can kind of talk about how that went. You don't really want to, not necessarily, if you struggled with a teacher because you just didn't like them, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a different thing. That's not really what we're talking about here. But if it was something where the teaching style was difficult for you and you had to figure out how to take notes a little bit differently so that you could better absorb the information, that kind of situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then the next question here, we have, how do you manage stress? Again, this is really the same as the conflict or challenge and weaknesses. They want to see how you manage. So, and I put on this question that, believe it or not, this is a great opportunity to be honest. Because, like we said earlier, everybody's human.
Yeah. And every job you ever have is going to be stressful for some reason or another.
It is. That's not something that's going to go away. And so, you can say whether or not you struggle with stress. You can say that, I have on here, you can frame it as a learning experience. You can talk about what kind of coping mechanisms you've developed, different things like that. And you can also frame that as something that you are interested in learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
From your job.
Because again, that's a transferable skill. No matter what job you end up at,
Absolutely.
Being able to manage stress is going to be a key part of it.
It's huge, yeah. And so the earlier you can learn that, the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have a few more questions here. Why should we hire you?
Sorry, just don't be cheeky with this question.
Well, I put on here, your sense of humor. No, that's not. I actually have been in an interview where it was very jokey. And so I actually did say that.
Yeah,
I was like, my sense of humor.
You can, depending on the circumstance, you can get away with it. I just would recommend planning to lead with that.
No, it's definitely something where you want to see what kind of person you are talking to, if they are goofy or if they are a little bit more just brass tacks,
I'm going to make an interview right now.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
See, goofy.
Oh my goodness.
You're welcome. No. But yeah, it will depend on the interviewer, and you can usually get a vibe if that's something that will go over well. But
Definitely.
like I said, I just wouldn't plan on being able to do that.
Exactly, yeah. And so let's see here. Then we have, tell me about a time you had to work with someone whose personality is different from yours. So this is another thing that you will deal with throughout the course of your career.
Throughout the course of your life, to be honest.
Absolutely. And so this is a question where you can absolutely use things from school. You can use things from, volunteer opportunities, organizations. You can even, if you feel like you're really struggling to figure out what to use, you can use something from family.
Yeah.
If you and your sibling have a hard time, or you and your mom and dad, or adult,
grandma never really got along.
Right. Yeah, you can kind of talk about how you manage that situation. And, there is something like when Ross and I started working together, we kind of had to learn how the other one works and then kind of figure out how to work together.
We managed it somehow.
Did we?
No.
Just kidding. We managed. Yes.
It's true, except I got fired. No,
No, he didn't.
That was a lie.
That's a big old lie. But anyways, yeah, so it's something that, they just want to hear that you are going to be respectful, that you are going to, understand that everyone has a different perspective about things, that you don't necessarily bring personal opinions into the workplace in certain circumstances.
And that, especially if you're dealing with a customer service job like retail or food service, that you can, not to excuse customer behavior, but you can maybe learn that maybe not everything is personal.
Absolutely. In fact, very little is personal. They have done many, many studies on this, and I like psychology. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. Yeah, Ross. Poor Ross. But
it's fine.
A smidge. So if anyone is being really mean or says something rude or something like that, it actually says something about that person.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about you. Yeah. And
again, that doesn't excuse their behavior.
Right,
but
of course not.
It does mean that you should take it with a grain of sand.
Exactly.
Or a grain of salt. One of those.
Either one.
Yeah.
They're both grains.
Anyway, take it with a grain of something.
Yes, yeah. And, it kind of just keeps it from coming inside, and bringing it in where it's going to bother you. And it kind of, that allows you to still talk to that person in a respectful manner, a friendly manner, all of those kind of things.
Yes.
So that is a huge part of, especially, yes, for customer service jobs and
anything where you're dealing with people on a regular basis.
Right. So describe a time you had to think on your feet.
And that doesn't mean you put your brain on your feet and kicked it around some.
Yes. So this could be, again, you just kind of want to direct everything to your professional experiences. And so you wouldn't necessarily want to, I put on here, not so much the time that you had to think fast to avoid your brother stealing the remote or something like that.
Or the time you tried to sneak into the house after being out too late, or something.
Right, yeah.
Like,
that's
let's
probably
avoid
not
those.
the thing you want to bring up in your interview. But thinking about, something changed last minute and the way that you dealt with that.
Like you were doing a group project and the day before it was due, you found out one person didn't actually do any of their part.
Exactly.
So now you have to scramble to get everything together.
And figure out how that's going to work and how to still be respectful to other people and all of that kind of stuff. So, so that's a really good question there. It's a trickier one. So that's, again, it's nice to answer these questions for yourself ahead of time. And then it'll be that much easier to think of these scenarios when you're sitting in front of an employer and you're already nervous. So tell me about your greatest accomplishment. And this is a great question. I love this question because it's a moment where you get to really show the person that you're interviewing with what you're passionate about. So it can be just something that you are proud of yourself for. And as long as that pride is genuine, you can...
It almost doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
As long as it is something you truly care about.
Exactly. And probably, school projects are good options for that, professional environment type of things, organizations you're involved with. But even if you helped your mom plan your brother's birthday party.
Yeah. Or you planted a garden or something.
Absolutely.
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah. To help something in the community, something like that. Anything like that is a great accomplishment.
But keep in mind, almost anything. Again, probably not, like embarrassing stuff or something.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that.
No.
So I feel like you're getting ideas. So in this question, this last question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's not necessarily a question that you're going to get in entry-level positions where there is a lot of high turnover. High turnover means that people are
coming and going.
Yes, coming and going. So people will start working there and then they'll leave or get fired or, all these different things.
It tends to happen most in higher pressure environments, either because people move on. I mean, in some cases, it's they move on to a different job and get something that they like more.
Or you need like a raise in order to cover something that, has gone on in your life or something like that.
You don't get it, so maybe you go to a different place. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one, though, if you are doing like a college scholarship interview
especially those.
Absolutely. If you are, getting your first job that is in the realm of what you want to do for your career, that could be a question that they'll be asking. It really depends. It's a good thing to just have an idea about. And again, this is where you're going to be talking about your goals and what it is that you want to do. And the important thing is to remember that this answer changes
And
all
that's
the
okay.
time. Absolutely. Just because you could plan out something to say for this question, and then when you get to your interview, you're going to be like, oh, I kind of want to change my mind. And you can do that. And the person that's interviewing you is also going to know that plans change.
Yeah.
Especially from when you're young. Yeah.
Really, it's more the question is, first of all, are you looking to the future? And secondly, what does that look like? Basically?
They want to hear about your ambitions. They want to know that you're going to put in the work. Yeah.
That you have a place that you're wanting to go.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I don't mean like Bermuda. Like, they actually want to know that you have a place that you're wanting to go.
in your career.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I've always wanted to visit the Louvre,
Right. Yeah. Anyways, next slide here. So the interviewer will probably ask you at the end of your interview, do you have any questions for me? And pro tip, the
Yes.
answer is yes.
Emphatically
You
yes.
always have questions prepared. Even if it's an entry-level position, you want to, I actually take a list of questions in with me to all of my interviews. And what I like to do is have maybe 10 to 15 questions. I know that sounds like a lot, but there is a good chance that some of your questions are going to be answered in the process of the interview. So you can get those questions by going on the website of the place that you're applying for.
Again, Google is your friend.
Google is your friend, absolutely. And you can even Google questions I should ask at an interview. So there are a lot of really great things. I said on here that you can prepare 5 to 10 questions based on your personal knowledge of the company, the website, or any advertising you've seen. Bonus points I did put on here, especially if this isn't necessarily an entry-level job. Talking about their mission statement, vision statement, or any other pertinent information from their website. So really talking about, especially at like a college or something, knowing who your teachers are going to be, knowing like the head of the department that you're going to be in, things like that can be really, really good because it shows that you are interested. That's really what this is all about, is showing your interest in the job. And why this is, what it is that you're really thinking about.
Because at the point that they're interviewing you, they're at least considering you.
Exactly.
They've already decided that on some level you probably could work there. The question is, would it be good for you to work there? And that is what they're trying to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I just kind of summarize it at the end. It's another opportunity to express your interest in the job and company. So, and it, by using research that you did ahead of time.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Probably not a good idea to steal someone's company handbook on your way in the door.
yeah,
go, "Oh,
probably
wait."
not that. No. But other questions might come up during the course of the interview too. And you can I always have a pen with me and I will take notes during the interview sometimes. And just kind of be prepared to ask questions. Yeah. So now we have a fun little activity that we're going to do. What does an interview really look like? Hint, not what you're about to watch.
Come on, it'll be good. This will be good. Get ready to see some prime interviewing skills.
Oh, I'm terrified. I'm terrified.
Woo!
So, no, do you want to turn this off real fast?
I guess.
And then we can. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go back here. So I'll just ask you, let's do, what do you think? 3 questions?
All right. 3 questions. Let's
Okay,
do this.
all right. Well, hi, Ross. Welcome to
Hey.
your interview.
Yo.
I'm so glad to meet you. So, tell me a little about yourself.
Yeah, right, about myself. I was born in 1985, right? See, so I lived in this place called Fort Worth for a while. And when I was about 5 years old, we moved to Farmers Branch. From there, so I grew up in Farmers Branch, did this elementary school thing. Montgomery was a great place. So middle school then, right.
Skip ahead.
High school, R.L. Turner High, go Lions, woo!
No, this is getting worse and worse. Just
And-
worse and worse and worse. There was like some little accent that happened in there for a minute.
Yeah, I think I was
don't
trying
know
to go
what
like
that
New
was.
Jersey or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was good though. It was a delight. Okay, so, well, that's very nice to hear, Ross.
Good.
So tell me, what are some of your greatest weaknesses?
Oh man. Well, I don't do good with spicy stuff. You know, it makes me cry. Let's see here. My little brother punched me in the solar plexus once. That wasn't fun. You know.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So your solar plexus is a weakness?
Yeah. And also, I think fire magic. Don't use fire magic. on
Fire
me.
magic. I see. How do you manage stress?
Well, you know, when it comes down to stress, I like to just like chill out, you know? I got this whole vibe thing going. So like I go home and like I get my PlayStation and then I play this game called Dark Souls, right? And then I get really angry at it. So I snap the controller and then the stress goes away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I need money for new controllers though.
Oh, is that why you want this job?
I mean,
You accidentally answered another one.
I
Okay, and then, well, this has been a very interesting interview, Ross.
mean, you're lucky, you know. You're welcome.
Do you have any questions for me?
I got 2.
Yes.
Okay, question number 1. I hear the secret sauce is mayonnaise you left out in the sun. Is that true?
Well, this is retail, so
But I thought
this is
man.
a clothing store.
All right, well, you know what? Get to McDonald's. Let me know.
Okay, all right.
Question number 2. So, like, where do I get those glasses?
The ones that I'm wearing.
Yeah. What store do they sell those at?
Wink Eye Care.
Cool. I'm going there after this. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So, what not to do? Very well done, Ross. You got the job.
Why?
Just kidding. Well, I mean, you have this job though.
That's true for
You
now.
do. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you learned a little bit about the interview process and definitely hope that you'll take advantage of the mock interviews. I would love to
Absolutely.
hear from you. And I think there's a form.
There
on
will
our
be a form that will also
website.
attach down
Yeah.
at the bottom.
We'll link that in the description. We'll also put the PowerPoint up somewhere for you to grab that.
Yep.
And so if you have any more questions about this stuff, give us a ring.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can call into the library and schedule something, or email us. Yeah,
Facebook,
library,
Instagram. Yeah,
library at roanoketexas.com.
Boom. And and Liesl will be the one actually doing the interview, so
Yes.
you don't have to worry about me, making a mockery of it.
Ross he'd be just as lovely
Would I?
to do. Yes.
Would I though?
It'd be just fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do my best. I would actually try as opposed to that last interview.
Yes, exactly.
So-
Yeah, but I have just to give you a little heads up. I have a nice little printout of the questions that I ask you. I take notes while you're answering the questions, and then afterwards, the first half hour or the first 15 minutes, depending on what kind of job you're applying for. We might want a little more time. Is when I ask the questions, and then the second half is when we talk about your answers and we make some suggestions for what you could do. What you did awesome, what you can do a little better, things like that. If you have any questions for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean that again. Remember that is a two-way street, and certainly we want to maximize this. Maximize the help that we can provide. And so
Definitely.
having an idea of what you're looking for too absolutely helps us be able to tailor that.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, should be awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. And thanks so much for being here. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.